Alright, sorry about that. Quick technical difficulties. Now, hopefully, we are here with Mageius running Robotech, the Macross Saga.
Again, sorry for all that, folks. Anyway, hi, I'm Mageius1, otherwise known as Mageius, or you can just call me Mage. Anyway, this is Robotech the Macross Saga. It's for the Nintendo Switch. It's based off the old Robotech franchise, which in and of itself is based off of 3 separate animes, but I'll be explaining more about that later. Before we get started, our pilot for this evening is Roy Foker, also known as Skull One. If you've ever seen the show or Super Dimensional Fortress Macross, you probably know who he is. Before we start, I want to quickly show off one small piece of tech, just so I don't have to actually try to stop during the run to explain this. So we have 3 different modes here with our Veritech, or Valkyrie in Japanese. We have Battleoid, we have Guardian, and then we have Fighter mode. When we are in Battleoid, we do not move at all. Well, the screen does not move at all, so we'll be trying to not move all of that. And I wanted to be able to just quickly explain that, since you will not really see me do that, and it's hard to stop to try to show it off before the run, which is also why we never take any points in speed, because that only increases the speed at which we move on that one. Same thing with piloting, but piloting actually does help. Anyway, I'll give a countdown. In 3, 2, 1, let's go. So, oops, forgot. Unlike in the original version, mashing B does actually take you back. Next. Anyway, we are starting here on Macross Island. Story-wise, it has been 10 years since a great war happened, and Earth has finally achieved peace. The war ended in a single night. Thank you, mysterious ship suddenly crash landing on Earth. Anyway, it's been about 10 years since then. So humanity came together, rebuilt the ship, and decided to basically form peace on that one. We would have thought actually actually realizing we're not alone in the universe would actually help with having us become peaceful. Anyway, it's the day of the relaunch of the ship, which they have named the Super Dimensional Fortress, hence name for it. Anyway, you'll see here that I am slowly moving around on screen, controlling my actual shots. One of the interesting things about the game here is that unlike a lot of side-scroller shooters, we get to be able to actually touch the ground. Crap, I did not note how low health I was, but it's okay. Early on, I'm still in the estimate. Anyway, you'll see me trying to destroy entire squadrons here. This is Andrade, the alien race that showed up the day we finished building finished rebuilding the Dimensional Fortress, or SDF-1 for short. To take it back. Anyway, in the background you see Macross City, which is the name of the city that was built up around it, construction and all. Anyway, as I said, that gives a small brief overview. That one. Roy here is decorated war hero. The run, you have categories for every one of the characters, but the reason why I'm showing Roy here is because this game can be a little bit hard later on, and Roy gives at least some extra movement at the cost of early missiles, and he just has the slightest bit of extra health. Anyway, the Robotech franchise is from the 80s, and it was based off 3 separate animes. Super Dimensional Fortress Macross, Super Dimensional Fortress, Hyper Cavalry Southern Cross, and Genesis Chamber, and I forget the rest of the names for that one. But anyway, you'll see me quickly move up here. Use our triple shot here as sparingly on that one, because it's timer based, but it's timer based on as long as you're firing it. We want to take out these battle pods up here because they give a bit more experience. I guess I really haven't explained much. This game has a pretty decent RPG element side to it. If you look up in the upper left corner, you can see my score is actually experience, and that my number of lives are, on that one. So what we're hoping to do is get at least 30,000 EXP before the start, by the end of this mission, so we can get 2 upgrades. The first being in the, oops, almost forgot this was coming up. You see me actually taking out the enemy ships that way. That is because the game still rewards you with EXP even if you take damage, so we will be abusing damage abuse during some of the actual parts where we can get away with it without dying. Or when we get some extra health later on. Wanna pilot up here, avoid these fire shots. Snipe that one there, do that there, avoid that there. Go down around. Since the game was originally for the GBA, some of the things were screened for that, but when they pulled out the resolution in the HD version, it made some things a lot harder, but also allowed for a few interesting things. So we're going to fire this here. We're going to still enjoy the music for now. And so the best way to describe Macross Saga is it's the first part of the 3 shows. Highly recommend watching the original animes that it was based off of, even though both are recognized as having its own mythos on that one. Do highly recommend the whole Macross franchise because honestly, amazing, very well known, and for all the fans that are fans of the transforming mech trope, Macross is one of the pioneers of it. And again, we'll go quickly around to take out all these enemies. Well, this has actually been a very good level 1. So we're going to fly around here for a bit. But the interesting thing with Macross, as I was saying, is it actually does a lot of interesting things with music, space, love, and how a lot of things like that. Anyway, the Zetrati here are a warlike race of giants. Basically, they've only known war, and when they run into humanity, it really does start changing, their whole perspective on that one. And they start to realize that war is not the only way. But I'll get more into that later on. So we'll avoid that attack here, shoot down some of the attacks that we can, get rid of that, and that's the first level. You'll see me turn into the fighter mode and go up to the top right corner of the screen. This is to slightly speed up the fact of avoiding the fact of having to transform back into a fighter and then immediately slowly roll out off of the screen. Anyway, Blitzkrieg here. Notice how we suddenly went to space. Story-wise, while we're fighting off the enemies, Zetrati, they attacked to the point of basically the SDF-1 had to perform a hyperspace fold, aka taking part of the surrounding area and basically leaving Earth's atmosphere, and suddenly finding themselves out by Jupiter and Saturn. So that also took part of the city with it, so essentially we are trying to get back home, fighting along the way and trying to, protect the civilians along the way. Let's just give a recap of the story. Anyway, for this so far, we're going to be getting rid of some of the fighter pods here, managing our health. You notice that I took both strength and stamina. Strength, because we need to go fast and we want more damage. As I said before, speed does not really help because it's for the our Battleloid version of our Valkyrie. The one thing about that is since we don't ever use it in the main part of the run, except for 1 or 2 stages where it's required, in which cases they have separate stats. Anyway, we'll fly there, move there, hold off as long as we can for getting the triple shot, so that way gives the enemies, we want more enemies on screen before we start using it, to be precise. And then we'll fly down here. But the reason we take stamina is because this, as I said, this game can get to be a little hard. So having that little bit of extra health does actually matter, especially when we can damage tank to get some extra EXP. Want to fly here, fly close to that one. Not a negative thing. I'll just use that to get the damage boost there. which is very useful there, so I don't have to do the War Marathon safe strategy of pulling back, turning into our Battleoid mode, and then taking that, then just basically using that to avoid the damage. Want to use the laser here. Never mentioned this, but there are some upgrades that are in this game. They also changed some of them around from the original version. Whereas, and I'll try to point out where some were changed from one type of upgrade, from one type of temporary power up to another. Anyway, we're going to fly down here, low as anything. As I said before, the the second mode, the hybrid mode, also known as the Guardian, or I have no clue how to pronounce its original Japanese name, so I'm just going to stick with the US version of Guardian. As you can see, because it's half, because it actually has half of a robot shell, we can actually fly close and touch the ground, unlike most of these type of games where you really can't. This lets us, and you'll be using that throughout the entirety of the run to save on being able to fly low and take, a bit of cover for dodging things. However, what this does mean is that we do move just the tiniest bit slower in overall movement, but not screen movement. That is a consistent speed. God knows I have tried figuring out any way I can to speed it up, and still nothing. So you'll see me quickly move up and down here to sort of strafe vertically and get more damage off of that one. Avoid those. You notice that I am trying to save some of my lives on that one. That is for later things, and I wish I had taken that, a bit later on, but yeah, we make do with what we got. So you also notice me basically flying through all the enemies there. As I said, we still get experience for killing enemies, even if it's just using our own ship. One of the nice things about the HD version over the original Game Boy Advance version is that we still get iframes for it, but it does not have us cling onto the enemies like it did in the GBA version. And that there will be delivered so I can take care of all three of those, because they give a decent amount of EXP. And again, we're going to fly up to the top of the screen to ensure that we get off the screen as fast as possible. Let's see, 43. Okay, I can afford the official power and do that there. Take those as the upgrades. Because I've got 7 lives, I can avoid taking the actual one thing there. And this is our first of 2 isometric stages. We have basically, story-wise, we've made it back to Mars. And we've got to destroy landers on that one. You'll see. You notice that I did not take the most powerful one, or the fastest. That is deliberately for some interesting tech that the HD version allows us. Mind you, this is also the one that's used in the speedrun for the standard version as well. We'll get rid of the officer's pod there, so we don't have to take as much damage and avoid it. Because as you can see, we still stuff. But what just happened there was me being able to actually use the fact of having a larger hitbox and being able to clip the entirety of this Destroid, which is the type of mech it is, into the actual whole hitbox of the landers, and be able to deliver our entire payload, which is this triple shot, which is this shot that's all around, directly into the enemy. And if you notice, this is one of the other reasons why we take this one, because of those ones that can surround it, completely just damage you like that. Now, there are categories for every character because of each individual stats, and even knockables. And honestly, it's pretty easy to pick up and learn, and I highly recommend the game itself because it's kind of fun, and it's also a great way to learn the basics for these type of speedruns. As each character plays, pretty differently. There's Roy Hunter, who is Rick's protege. During the years of peace, Roy joined a flying circus and was basically Rick's teacher in a sense. Doesn't matter on that one. We'll take that death. Then we'll go over here and avoid everything else because we will still take damage because we have an active hitbox on that one. On that one, we'll take that to upgrade for that. And then we're now on to the next stage, which is Blind Game. Essentially, we are inside a Zentradi ship close to Earth. Now, the one nice thing is this stage is pretty easy to avoid most things. We've gotten some of the power up, we've gotten some of the health, some of the extra power. Looking good on lives. I'm gonna fly back here. Take out this here. Power basically just means how much missiles we have. So, though we do want to take more of them, at present I am prioritizing a little bit of extra health for the marathon's sake for the next stage. Now, this is one of the best special power-ups we get, though it's only short and there's only like one or two of the entire game, but as you saw, it gives it an entire like screen clearing type thing. We want to fly up here. Forgot to kill the one thing, but oh well. Just scroll it off screen. And so we want to fly down here. The reason why I flew up there is because of a triple shot upgrade, as you can see. And it lets me, you know, like quickly avoid some of the stuff, get this, as well as get a quick bit of extra EXP. Want to fly around there, fly down there, fly up, avoid those shots there. Head down a little bit. Hit those. I forgot I did not clear out that one, but it gives us a chance to clear out the screen. As I said, I'll be using the fighter mode to basically clear out enemies after deaths or in spaces where I can quickly do that and tank the damage. Let's see, amount of EXP I've got. Let's see, 13. I do not think I'll get enough for another upgrade, so I won't be at the full highest strength for the next stage, which is what it is, but I've got the lives to hopefully tank out the entirety of the next stage. Because, oh boy, I'm gonna be taking damage like no one's business. If this was a charity marathon, I'd say feel free to make donations, but since I know it isn't, I want to hover like that, fly like that, since that's the, since I know after those three we'll end the stage, we'll fly up here again. 24, nope. Don't need to upgrade. Yes, let's leave it like that. No, we don't need to save. One of the nice things is saving is only important if you are actually exiting out of the entire game, so we can avoid time loss on that one. Anyway, finally made it back to Earth. Here with Bursting Point. Anyway, this is legitimately one of the worst stages in the game. In both the HD and the original version. We're going to avoid a lot of the damage here. And fun fact, in the original version, that would have been a missile recharge and not health. So we're going to take out the shields here. Fly like that. Avoid the fire. That one. Take the death to restore ourselves. Fun fact, the game actually gives you a bit more room down here where you can avoid some of the fire. So we're going to hang low down here. And because the enemy moves, we want to fire whenever we can to try to get the taken care of as fast as possible. Grab the health. And wow, that is a very good bursting point for that one. So we'll fly up here again to get off stage as fast as possible. 36, I can finally take the full strength upgrade. And now, story-wise, Roy has tragically sacrificed his own life to help make sure everybody could get back on that one. Anyway, so this is the post-war thing. As I said earlier about how Zentradi have started to learn about how war is not the only way. During the year back, how long it took the ship to get back. Some of the Zerati did sneak on board the ship, did learn more about humanity. Things like music and the like helped on that one. So, essentially, you know, by this point, we've had some of them actually decide to, I won't say join humanity, but understand them and start to help convince their superiors that war is not the only way. Now, it's not true for everybody on that one, but there's always going to be people like that, no matter what, sadly. Anyway, we want to take out this trooper here. I'm going to fire here. Get rid of that there. Try to avoid not taking a death. Go down here. And because I just took that death, I do not have to get the extra health, so I can just do this. And again, use the fact of having a bit of an extra thing to clip into that one. We'll finally take the extra missile upgrade. And sit back, relax, and enjoy Force of Arms, which is what the Warfax Centrati that did not shrink down, decided to launch an all-out assault on Earth, and we are defending Earth with the Centrati that actually did want to help, and singing in this one is Min-Mei, who is one of the characters from the show, who is basically the idol, and I mean that literally because of storyline-wise, because they had humanity, because basically they had civilians with them. They had to do something to help with keeping up morale for them. And Min-Mei is, you know, basically they held a beauty pageant and held a Miss Macross contest, and she is the winner. Oddly enough, at this point in the story, she is also Rick Hunter's girlfriend. Because, of course, they had to have the main character get the girls. Yes, even in the 80s, that trope existed. So we'll fly like this. And I'll let y'all enjoy some of the music. Together. Now, I might add, this is not copyrighted on that one, so you don't have to worry about that. But, fun fact, in how best to say this, this is one of those things with the Macross franchise as a whole, not just Robotech, but Macross franchise actually really does lean on to the fact of like having great music, to the point of like a lot of shows that have been very popular in Japan, it has even had its own actual on stage, you know, versions of stuff. Case in point, look up the Sailor Moon musical that was done in Japan for a few years, alongside the Prince of Tennis. Just your anime fun fact of the day. So we're going to fly like that, fly down here, circle strafe a little bit, turn into fighter so we can actually do a little neat trick. Fly down there, get rid of those enemies down there, and then come back up here. There are two ways to handle this section, either flying under or over. I have yet to figure out which gives the higher EXP count, as we still want to help get rid of enemies on the screen, so we not only don't die, but also to be able to rack up some more EXP. This is one of the extra things that were taken out of the HD version. A bit more, we have bombs. Speaking of other characters, Max, who is one of the starting characters, Max Sterling to be precise, is one of Rick's squadron mates, and he's also very important to the later franchise because of his wife. And I have no clue how to pronounce her name, but basically Max ends up falling. Max and his wife end up falling in love and getting married, and in both the Robotech and Macross franchise, their child. Well, in the Robotech franchise, their child is the renamed version of one of the characters from Fortress Hyper Cavalry, but to go on with what I was saying, basically Max is the example of how how humans in the Zentradi can coexist because of his wife actually being a former Zentradi officer. Now we're going to fly around here. Well, took a death there. So, well, But those bombs that I've got, tend to see them used a tiny bit more in the original version. Anyway, I'll clear these out. Not have to worry. These are strong, powerful missiles right now. Notice how they have a large explosion. They don't home like the others, but the explosive amount really does switch out a lot of things. And because I took the def, I can do that there. And now we're going to fly up here again because of just about being done this mission. You also see the little asteroid in the background. Our next mission is to fly into that and basically take it out from the inside. During all of this, as I said, the warring factions of the Centrati have kept up a bombardment of Earth, so I would say rip Earth because there are survivors on that one, but it does actually, matter on that one story-wise. So we're going to wait for more enemies to start showing up before I grab that. So once I start using it, it is in a more advantageous position to take out more enemies. Really doing quite well on the lives this time. As this game can be a little tricky here and there. Fly down here. We'll rotate a little bit. Take out some of the enemies. We'll fly down here. Shoot there to get rid of a enemy that spawns there. Get the laser. And, okay. You're gonna do that? Okay. Saves me from having to actually just waste the laser a little bit. But, no harm, no foul there. So we'll fly down here. Now, fun fact. In the original version, that part there is solid. So we cannot, shoot through it. And I'll just loop up here on that one, because of being low health, I could not risk doing the actually just taking the damage to get rid of it. But, as I was saying, fun fact... Oh, okay, that's annoying. As you can see, I did take some damage from hitting the floor there, but we'll go there. As I said, though, one of the nice things about it is those walls here, despite actually being not able to be flown through, the shots you have can be fired through them, unlike in the original version where they are solid. Are you serious, game? I dodged that shot. Sometimes the game says no, the game says no. Maybe we'll fly around there, loop up here, take out the enemy there. Take out that because honestly that's going to be a pain, and they also give a decent amount of EXP. Fly down here a bit more. Fire a bit here. Fly up a little bit. Use our missile to help home in and take out that. The armors that I've been killing right here are female power armors. Don't ask me on that one whether or not if it makes a difference or not. I don't know. The other one that I just got rid of is a male power armor. So we'll just hover like this. Take out this. And if I recall correctly, yep, we're in the final section. I'll turn into here because getting the exact point like I just screwed up there is a pain to notice. Oh well. So we've gotten back. So as I said, we've gotten to because of what happened with all that stuff, it's been a few years, if I recall correctly, story-wise, and they have built they rebuilt the SDF-1, which sustained a lot of damage, and basically, the remaining Centrati forces that still, did not desire peace have launched an attack. They built a second superdimensional fortress, SDF-2, and essentially, we are defending it. And the mission title, 2 stars, is a reference to the very last episode of the anime. But to be fair, a lot of the names to actual missions are of the anime episodes. But just one of those fun facts on that one. So we're flying around here. Fly up like this. I'm looking very good on lives here. Now that I say that, please don't let me just comment, curse myself on that one. So we'll fly down here. Take out that so I don't have to avoid stuff. In the original version, this mission is basically a how many lives do we have and how much can we do this to clear out lag. Because In the CBA version, this is the laggiest stage in the game. But you see here that, again, I am going to be using, in fact, being able to tank damage to legitimately just screen clear where I can on some of the spots. Luckily, this stage also gives a lot of actual EXP, so it does actually be so that we can earn some more lives. Do it like that. There, straight there. Get annoyed on that one as well. Use that to screen clear, and reset back to some of it. Clear out those. Now I'll use the missiles we've got here to help clear out a lot of those enemies. As you can see, just like how much they can clear out a section of enemies there. So we'll go like that there. Take out that so I have at least some more breathing room in the sky. Take that out so it's not raining fire on me. Fly a little low so I can strafe that out. Get rid of these. And that one as well. I want to fly down here low a bit so I can manage what's coming up. I want to fire a little bit like this so I have the ability to take out some of the enemies that are coming up. Fire this as fast as I can so that way I do not take a death here. I can also use that because of being able to circle strafe a bit more advantageously. And that's actually a very useful death for damage tanking purposes. Because I can now actually, instead of having to take out some of the stuff, avoid some things, I can just tank the entire screen. Like I can here. We want to avoid those bombs on that one, because we want our homing missiles here. We'll avoid that one there. Fly a bit closer like that. Fly close, immediately grab these. Take the death. Fly up and get rid of all those. This is a great example of where the game would expect you to stop and avoid things, but we're speedrunners, we don't want to do that. This is where you can also see it actually start to lag a little. Yes, even on a modern game. So we're going to take out all these. Try not to die. Okay, that means I'm doing the slow strat for the final boss. So we're going to up here. And with all that, we are just about on the final level. To make it easier, I'll take this, 2 stars, save, even though I don't have to, and now the final battle. So we're making this far enough, or basically on the final battle, because we can actually actually avoid damage here, and actually stand right next to that one. Doesn't matter on that one. I was already going to take the short strat for it, the safe marathon strat. So we want to weaken that, avoid everything here. Fun fact, this does not have a hitbox in the HD version, so we can just sit in the final boss, so this shell here, and just avoid everything. And if I had had more lives, this actually probably could have PB'd, but sadly I know it's probably not going to because of having to do this strat for the final boss. But then we'll move here, back that as close as we can, wait till it turns green, hold up here for a bit, and we're going to repeat the process because we're going to take the cheese strats versus the really hard, versus the taking it on at a straight fight because of being at 0 lives. And safe than sorry for this one because of having to redo this entire fight. And it wouldn't matter because all I would be is getting 1 extra life, and that is not enough to warrant or justify having the ability to do that. So again, we'll fly here, avoid its laser, point blank to get it, have it soak in as much damage as we can. And repeat that. firing our missiles as fast as we can there. Want to just circle around again. As I said, I would, if I had more lives, be just doing the full battle, which is getting rid of both sides of it, but because of not having the lives, I'm not going to risk it. But again, we're just gonna hover around here, get the extra health there. Wait till there. Fun fact, you can actually clip yourself into the boss's thing, but it won't help as much. So now then, we're going to do that. And because I have a little bit of health to work with, I'm going to risk it for the quick time save here. Now those missiles will take a lot of damage, but if I'm close enough, and we'll get rid of that. And time is coming up in about 3, 2, 1, time. And that's Robotech the Macross Saga. Pretty good, solid run overall, I'd say. Not my best, but not my worst on that one. The estimate is purely there, so I can count for other stuff in... Wait. Holy shit. Pardon the language, folks, but, that actually was a PB! By 2 minutes! And technically, since I'm the only runner, world record, too. So, GG's to me, I guess. Unless they started time early. Oh, late on that one. You'll have to let me know on that one. But GG's to me, I guess. Anyway, we'll skip through the credits and show off the fact of unlocking the other version of Roy, which is no transforming mode. As you can see here, it's also his Great War version of him. As you can see, the aids being different on that one. But yeah, that's Robotech the Macross Saga. I do not know if they want me to, keep going on or not, but anyway, they'll let me know. They will let me know. So hopefully you all did enjoy that. But to give a sense of perspective for some of the other characters, Ben here, as you can see, has a lot more stamina than the other thing, than his other stats. His piloting is slow as anything. To explain what I was talking about with piloting earlier, okay, they're asking me to wrap it up, so I will, but just to show a quick thing, see how piloting is a lot faster because of that. But thank you all again. Remember to watch everything on that one. Keep going with the marathon. And you can find me at twitch.tv/Mageius1. That's Mageius1, the number 1 on that one. But hopefully you're all enjoy the rest of that one. And I'll pass it over to one of my good friends, I'd say, and one of my fellow anime runners, DBK, whenever he's ready. So I'll pass it back to the marathon staff, and have a good rest of the night. I'll see you all tomorrow for my Link to the Past run.